Well, it's the second of two 260-minute set this week. I'm at Red Carpet Comedy for week number 44, just 2 days after week number 43. I gotta tell you, the day after 43, yesterday, I kind of had like a comedy hangover. I was just like, not from drinking, I just felt that set, even in hindsight, got a little bit worse. So I was in a bit of a trough, kind of digging my way out of this one, and add to that my busyness with another project that's going on. I don't think I gave this set the time. But that said, there are still a couple things that I kind of like, and a couple of lines that I'm kind of excited to say and see if they get any reaction. Hopefully I can sell it and just stay positive throughout it, and make sure that I'm confident that it's funny. We'll see what these folks think.
I'm also closing on anti-Semitism. This is weird. Booked this show poorly. I'm in kind of a weird funk tonight, so don't let me ruin your fun at all if I seem a little off. I've been overworked, but what capped it off today is that I had to forfeit a game of Scrabble with my mother on our iPhones because there are certain words that I will not play against my mother. I could have won, but she doesn't really know that I know the word vagina. I mean, I gotta look her in the eyes again. I'm not doing that. She doesn't have to wake up one morning to see, your son beat you by playing taint. What? That is the worst. There's a clean version of that, but you all pictured the dirty one. Well, I like you. The reason I'm overworked is that I'm helping my friend put up a play, so I'm just doing all the physical labor, I'm set building. I'm not made for physical labor. My hand got cramped writing this far down on my page. I've just not built. I have calluses everywhere. I haven't been doing much comedy. My right hand went numb. Well, there's perks. I used to do this, theater stuff, more professionally, casually. It was a big thing. And I kind of got out of it because I never left a comedy show physically bruised. You know what I mean? This wall behind me never just came down, glanced off my shoulder, and landed on a coworker. But that did happen in theater. It's just a weird thing for me. I've left emotionally bruised, sure, but I mean, that's every other day for me. You can't bleed a stone in there. So, the worst I ever actually got injured working in theater was we were throwing out a set. One of the big secrets of theater is that it is the most environmentally damaging thing ever. It is the equivalent of the oil sands. It's just this. We're just throwing away the word recycling there. You get fired for even bringing it up. Fuck off, you hippie. It's this is theater. Everybody's sleeping with everybody. I don't know why recycling and orgies go hand in hand for me, but they do. So anyways, we're throwing out this set, and what happened, we had two big dumpsters, but the loading dock wasn't long enough for the dumpsters to sit flush with each other. So one went straight out, and then the other one angled off slightly. And the thing is, you load the first one with flat stuff, then you walk across it, and you just chuck stuff into the second one. So I'm loading the first one's loaded, I'm at the very end of it, there's a big set piece coming at me. I know it's not important, but it was Scrooge's wall. A true story. And I'm at the very edge of the dumpster, and it comes too fast, and I try to get my foot on the second dumpster and miss. So one foot goes in the crack in between the dumpsters, and the other foot goes into the dumpsters, and I come down exactly as you imagine. The sound that it made has so tainted me to go... to go to any Chinese themed event, because every time I hear a gong now, I just have a flashback. I just grab my crotch. I'm glad it made a noise too, because the scream I made needed to be dampened by something. So I go in. I now have to fill out a workman's compensation form, but the diagram that they give you is two-dimensional. You only have this to go on, and a close-up of your toes. But my toes were fine. The steel toes did not help me for shit. So I have this, and I don't know what to do with that. It's one of my first days on this job, and I'm trying not to make waves. So I just circle this, and then I put an arrow up. Like, not this dimension, the undercarriage, you know, where the rust proofing is. Because it's Scrabble rules. I'm not going to write taint on a government form. It's ridiculous. And I handed this in to my bosses, and they laughed their asses off at me. They laughed at a man who nearly neutered himself with a dumpster. And I can't even fathom why they did this. Like, I could have ruined everything. Like, their insurance rates could have skyrocketed. I could have worked free for I could have been at home in my bed free for a year. But they laughed at me. I think they thought I was like a toddler. Like, you know when a young kid hurts themselves and they don't know how to react? So if you laugh, they laugh. I think that's what they're doing to me. They're like, oh, he's a crew. He'll laugh. Anyway. Oh, that was the ending of that. Okay, never mind. The task that I think I really stopped doing it for was because at the end of every day you'd have to mop the deck. Deck is a technical term for stage. I'm very highly trained. And we were mopping, and one day my boss looks at me and says, what do you think about when you're mopping? And without missing a beat, I looked back and said that I have to be fucking funnier. I'm getting there eventually. Sometimes it was okay, like it was a union gig a lot. So actually one day I started my job, and my boss, in front of his boss, actually says, let's start slow and taper off today. That's great. I was like, oh, I'm going to do that with this set too. Great. So I was building something for my friend for this play, and I realized that I completely forgot trigonometry. I had no idea how to calculate an angle of a triangle. I was clueless, and I realized at that point that I owed my parents an apology. Because when I was in high school and doing that, I was like, what? They couldn't remember either, and I was like, oh, they're idiots. Why can't they remember that? They grew up in Saskatchewan. I thought maybe they just learned the empirical system. Because there's no metric tractors, you know. But I had to actually ask a kid for help with trig, but the cops did not believe that. I was like, no, I need the angle opposite, damn it. I actually took calculus in high school because girls weren't talking to me anyways, might as well fill the time. And it's good to have a math textbook right up to graduation for a guy. Really? I'm the only one that covered the boner? Okay. I barely passed this course because I had the worst teacher, Mrs. King, and that is her actual name. And mentioning it, I wonder if she ever was trained that. Like, statistically speaking, every teacher is probably going to have one comic in their class. And if they're not good at their job, like one day in Calgary, 20 people are going to hear about it. Like, well, you better teach well. But anyway, she wouldn't teach anything. She would just do math on the overhead projector. She would just do it, and we would watch it. Not nearly as fun as it sounds. And I'm glad that this philosophy wasn't the same as my sex ed teacher. Mr. Kendrick, can we get back into the book? Okay, thanks. We'll taper this off now. I think the ritual of drinking on your birthday is like the best way to drink. That's fantastic. The sentiment of, I'm down a year, let's kill off a few more, is fantastic for me. That's like the right amount of depression, I think, for a birthday. My birthday's never really gone correctly. I remember even as a kid, we went to laser tag or something, and we're so delayed at laser tag with the scorecards getting printed off, I don't know why we cared, that another friend of mine couldn't meet up with the party because his mom couldn't give him a ride or whatever. And I got so angry. I was so fucking weird. I've looked up the phone number of the Better Business Bureau to file a complaint against the laser tag company. It's like calling the cops on monkey bars. It's like, they hurt me. Oh my god. But it was that feeling as a kid that made me skip over my childhood. That feeling of just not being in control and having no influence just drove me crazy. And then that's why I look forward to adulthood. And then I became an adult and realized I still have no control. And now if I wet my bed, it's not just a phase. Like, this is bullshit. The other thing about birthday parties that kind of weird me out is that groups of people kind of make me uncomfortable. Not like this right now. Like, this is kind of different. Like, I know what to do with my hands. Like, I got one here and one here. Like, a lot of people think I'm not good with names. It's just because I'm looking at your hand technique. Like, it was all self-conscious. I'm like, oh, in the pocket. That's clever. That's good. Yeah. You could count your change. I'm very introverted. I'm a little introverted. Like my favorite game growing up was tag, because I would just be it, and then I'd get some alone time. There's no adult equivalent to that either, which annoys me. The only thing that I could think of is just to say something anti-Semitic. And then people run away from you. You'd be alone for a long time. It'd be like in a desert for 40 years. You thought I was joking at the beginning, didn't you? Yeah. That's all for me. Thanks very much, guys. It was like having a divining rod for divine rod. Oh, you have no idea how happy I was that I wrote that this afternoon, and all of you who are like...
Well, I think that was certainly good enough to get rid of my funk. Again, it started as strong. It did kind of taper off there, but the ending did go well. The riff off the top that you heard actually did happen. The other guy closed on a Jewish thing as well off the top. Very funny that the sets kind of ended the same way, but overall good night. I like the injuring myself in theater stuff, the Workman's Compensation Board. I think that is relatable, and actually that's a word-for-word true story, and those always seem to be the best.